Follow your heart. What's that song? Listen to your heart.
I thought you were gonna say, "Just give me the light."
That's Sean Paul.
Girl.
I'm dead.
Hey.
Welcome back to Two Little Wine Podcast with Jada
And Ashley.
Cheers. So this is part 2, guys. Part 2. Welcome back.
2 of Life's Big Questions.
Yeah, and we're just gonna jump right into it. Right?
Diving right in.
Ashley, what does it mean to live authentically?
Living authentically to me means doing things because I want to do them, because they're gonna fill my cup, because it's important to me, not necessarily because it's the trend or it's what I think is expected of me, or like what other people would want, what other people think I should do. Yeah,
I agree. I feel like living authentically is like staying true to your character and not letting what other people say and do, like not necessarily like influence, but like change who you are as a person. Like if you don't agree with something naturally and like people are trying to persuade you otherwise,
like people don't gotta convince you.
Yeah, like if you live your authentic self, then your truth is your truth regardless of somebody else's truth, right, or perspective.
Yeah,
I feel like it's tough though.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
right?
like, I don't think that it's always so easy, at least for me, to like be authentic to myself, to live authentically, because I often think about like, well, I want to make my parents proud, or like, what would my parents think, or whomever. What is society gonna think? What does society expect of me?
Right. What is society doing? What are people my age doing? Like, what is the norm for this demographic?
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Like, I feel like we live in I think we live in a time, yes, you're right, where we can be easily influenced by media, or pretty much media.
Yeah. It goes back to what you were saying in part 1 about like, are we making our own decisions, or do we make decisions because of society, or because things are like in our face?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's normal for us to compare ourselves to others and the trajectory of our life to others, right? Because we see that, and because of like social media and stuff like that, right? We see other people doing things and we think, oh, am I supposed to be doing that right now?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I've had to really work on like removing myself from that, and removing myself, or like setting myself free of like these standards and societal pressures of just being like, I'm just gonna live for me. And like, I know, even when it's hard, like I know deep in my heart that the things that I want in life, like I'll get there, I'll figure it out. Like they'll come to me. It'll come when it's supposed to come.
I think too, like as far as like career wise and like career paths, like I'm in a point of my life where I know where I want to be career wise, and I'm building that path to get there, right? I'm going back to school to like get there, and it can be so hard to be like, all right, this is my journey. It doesn't align with a lot of other people that are in that craft's journey. But that's okay. This is authentic to me. Like this is my natural versus like their natural, or what I think is accepted or viewed as like cool, or however, right? Because it's me putting that. It's like a shifted perspective because of what I see, right? So yeah, I think it's definitely it's hard now in this day and age to really, 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 truly be authentic. You know what I love?
What do you love?
Little tangent. I love when I meet people and they're just so different.
Different than you, or different than like the norm?
Just both, I think. I think that's what attracts me now as an adult. Coming into who I am, is people that are different from me, when I feel like before I wanted so much to be like a part of something, or like I do tend to find similarities, maybe like in values, but like people that just like different things, that they're like, I want to compare it to like hippies, that they're just like on their own path and like they're just not doing what the normal society.
They're living authentically to themselves.
Yeah.
I think that's a common.
That's a good analogy, kind of, right?
Yeah, like I think when you think of like, what is a hippie? Like, what does that mean to embody that? It's just like people who live freely, who live for whatever they want. Yeah, at least that's how I envision them. I don't know if that's like textbook.
Yeah.
In my eye.
Well, that's how I view it, right? Like I feel like those people, to me, when I meet them, I'm like, wow, they're so authentic to who they are. Like they don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Excuse my language. What other people are doing. I think part of that, I know I talked about like in our intro that I'm off social media, like my personal Instagram. I don't have it because I just had too many people on there. Like I feel like I'm a person that, and I mentioned this in the catfish video, like I feel like I'm easily influenced, or like I'm too trusting and I just believe in everything. So like sometimes like removing yourself out of that, you're like, okay, so like what is it that I like and want for myself, and what truly makes me as a person happy, and how can I be that way, right?
Because when you're removing that, like you're more living in your own reality.
In my own and I'm not worried about others.
You're not even exposed to what others are doing in that same way. I'm not
exposed. Yeah. Yeah. I think more so now, the older that I get, like the cliche is you get wiser, but I do feel like you start to be like, all right, like what do I need out of life? Like,
yeah, this is a little tangent. I went to a birthday party for a cousin of mine. It was her 50th birthday, and this is somebody that like maybe I see her like every few years. She lives out of state and stuff, and we were just talking, and she's like, so Ashley, like tell me like what's going on, like how are you, like thing. And I just said to her like, you know, I'm just trying to figure it out. Like that's all I said. And she was like, and you know, I'll tell you, she kind of like got quiet, and she was like, and she's like, and I'll tell you, there's never a time where you're gonna have it all figured out. But I can say that now at 50, she was just like, you don't want to figure it out anymore. You're not worried about figuring it out. You're just living, and you just accept things as the experience, and you go through things, and then you realize after like, oh wow, look,
I love
that was so hard, and then now look, here I am on the other side and stuff. And that really stuck with me.
That's so powerful.
Yeah.
You remember in season 1? I love referencing season 1. OGs, you know. When I was like, I just be off the whim, and you're like the planner. Yeah. Right? I feel like that truly is authentic to me. Like my authentic self just be like, I'm taking it. Right? And then when things get weird or anxieties hit, I start questioning like, what am I supposed to do in every single moment? And maybe I'm feeling like that because that's not authentic to who I am.
Yeah.
That just hit me right now.
Yeah, because I don't think that we are supposed to have it figured out as humans. And I think sometimes we get so caught up in knowing what the next thing is going to be. Like we're so caught up in that we don't get the opportunity to enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
And to live and to be able to reflect back of like, what is important to me right now? Right? Because that also changes, and like accepting that, you know, what was important to you before, like things change, and like that's no longer my focus or my what I'm putting my energy towards.
Yeah, I feel like I felt that hard this year, like very, very hard in the summer. I feel like so many things happened that I was like, yo, who are you? What do you like to do? What makes you happy, Jada? Like I literally sat myself down. I'm like, girl, what the hell? In these 28 years of life, I'm 29 though, but I just turned 29. But at the time, I was like, in these 28 years of life, like, what do you like to do? Right? And again, in my head, it's like, what do you want? From the Notebook. What do you want? I do that a lot. Like I do ask myself that, like, what do you want? What is it that you want to do?
Yeah.
Like, what makes you, what is it that you need to be okay right now? And that's not even happy, because I don't even know what does happiness mean. Everybody's version of happiness is different, right?
Yeah. And I would say for me personally, I feel like my version of happiness has changed over time. Yes. And I think it'll continue to change.
Yes. So I think that's a question that's like a never ending question. And it's like, going with whatever.
Yeah. I think too, when I think about like, what does it mean to live authentically? and to be authentic to yourself. I don't think that I'm always like in every aspect of my life living authentically. You know what I mean? Like it kind of changes over time, and sometimes it feels like I have a better grasp than others.
Yeah, I feel, me personally, I feel like in different, if I look at my past and my, just for example, my career choices in the past, right? Every job that I've ever had before this current one, I wasn't authentic to myself. I feel like I was always playing a role. I was always doing what I thought I needed to do, or playing the role that I needed to play, and it always felt wrong, right? I came across this video recently on TikTok, and the girl was like, it was like a stitch. So it was like a girl crying, and she's like, how do you know what to do and when to do it? Like, how do you know you're supposed to move on? And I don't know if she was talking about work, about a relationship or whatever, and this girl comes and stitches in, and she's like, you know, when it just sucks, like when things feel redundant and it physically feels like, what am I doing? This is not enjoyable. This doesn't feel fun anymore at the very basic level, right? And I feel like I can see that time and time and again when I took a job outside, like after college, and then I did another job, and I was just like moving through the motions of doing things, but nothing. I was just like, all right, I'm an adult. This is what I'm supposed to do.
This is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, nothing felt genuine at all. I feel like I was always putting a front, or like always pretending to be someone, and it was exhausting.
Yeah.
So I think, you know,
because that kind of leads us into the next question, like, how do you know when you're following your intuition?
It feels right.
Does it feel right?
I think so. Well, how do you know it feels right? Life's big
I think it's
questions.
part of it is like you have to learn how to trust yourself.
Yeah.
And like learning that like maybe in a couple of months you're like, dang, I would have made a different decision, but that's trusting what you needed in that moment. Yeah, and trusting that that's what you needed at that time. And trusting that things change. And yeah, and like knowing that everyone makes the best decisions for you. Like, you know what's best for you, right? Like, I think about when you're a kid growing up, like, yeah, you have your parents or other adults around you that like help guide you and mold you, and then there comes a point where you're like, okay, no, now I can take control of my own decisions and what I want. And once you start stepping into being able to live for yourself and make decisions for you, not because of society, not because of your family or whatever, then the more that you do that, the more that you can develop that skill of being intuitive. Right.
Yeah, it's definitely a skill.
Yeah.
Like, you're just not, unless you are the Messiah. I don't know. I don't know. I just said that, guys. Yeah, it's definitely something that you have to work towards.
Yeah. I think that you don't, and sometimes I feel like it's like an up and down.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I feel like I'm so good at trusting myself, and then other times I feel like, ooh, I don't know. And going back and forth. But it brings me back to like also thinking about like, do we, regress? Or even in that moment where you're thinking you're regressing, are you still progressing?
Because you're able to reflect.
Yeah, like when because I just said like sometimes I feel like, oh, I used to be so intuitive. I used to be I used to be able to trust myself so much, and now I can't. But is it that now I can't, or is it that things are different now and it requires more of me?
Level, yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's the challenging
a bigger
part.
level of trust. Yeah.
And that you might not be like, you're kind of like scared of, right? Or like maybe you're not unwilling, but you're like hesitant. Yeah. I agree. I feel like my intuition like ebbs and flows. Like sometimes I feel like super confident and I'm like, yeah, this is it. And then sometimes I'm like, wait, what am I doing? Just like how you said.
And what causes that doubt for us?
Yeah.
Right, because I don't know if I shared this.
The anxiety. Did we talk about anxieties? I think we talked a little bit about anxieties.
Yeah, but anxiety could be good.
Right.
Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be bad.
Mm-hmm.
Did I share before about when, like the TikTok that I saw about the girls saying, like, when you want something, when something is spoken over your life. So like, if you are like, okay, God, what do I do? This, that, whatever you believe in, however you reflect, right? And you make a decision. You're like, oh, okay, I'm supposed to, this feels right for me. Like, it feels right to go back to school. It feels right to take that job. It feels right to leave this relationship. And then as you're going through it, you make a decision, and then you can go through like a period of confusion and periods of like doubt and periods of like, wait, did I do the right thing? Like, oh my God, this is so hard. This is challenging. Does that change? That doesn't change
What was
the original set. Yeah.
Right.
And like the original intention or the goal. And remembering that, like, just because you're confused now doesn't mean that the outcome is still the outcome will still be the same if you push through it.
Right. It's like the thing about anxieties, like, is it can be influential, like it could be really good for you to feel that and grow from it and continue forward, right? Like, maybe we have to feel that because it is uncomfortable and we grow from uncomfortability. But then you can be like, damn, I'm feeling anxiety, maybe this is right.
And that's why I feel like whenever I think about being stuck, it's only because of me. Like, I have been the only thing or person,
you're the
like,
only
in my
obstacle
way.
in your way. For real. Oh my God, this makes me I'm going on a tangent. Jada's tangent number 5. I'm thinking about like when I go to the Greek class, and it's me versus me in that class. Like, F what everybody else is doing. Like, this class is hard. This class like makes you put your body through things that I feel like it's all mental. Like, you can physically do it, you can figure it out, or you can like pause or whatever, but I like it because it's a challenge, because it's not something that I'm used to. When I go to the gym by myself, I'm not like, I don't.
You challenge yourself to like a certain
limit. Yeah. So it's like me versus me in there that I'm forcing myself to do. Yeah. That's like my little version of that, of those obstacles and those anxieties. And like, at the end of the day, it's gonna get done, and I'm gonna be a better physically fit person because of it.
And then you also end up feeling like more confident and more like,
and I'm like, I can do this.
Like, boosts you. Yeah. And I think about like, well, if you did that, then you could do other things that are hard. Like my this person that I used to go to for physical, I was gonna say physical therapy, but like my trainer, she would always tell me like, Ashley, you can do hard things. And my response literally was always like, I know.
Right.
I don't want to do it though.
Right.
But I'm gonna do it because here we are. But I'm gonna complain.
Every step of the way.
Which is just, and she's like, you can say whatever, yep. And I'm gonna be here till you're done. So just do it. Yeah, if we allow ourselves, we'll constantly surprise ourselves with like what we're able to accomplish. So,
do you think there's like, I don't know if we mentioned this, but like, if there's we obviously talked about how it's a skill, but like, is there like a feeling you have other than anxiety that your intuition? Yeah, because they always say follow your gut, or like I heard somewhere it was like, don't follow your heart. Maybe it was in church. It was like, don't follow your heart, follow your mind. And I don't know. That's a whole nother topic. But I think, like, is there a feeling that you feel?
I think it's, for me, when I'm like, is when things just feel clear.
Like peace.
Yeah. So like, I've been in situations where it's like, whether it's leaving a job, a friendship, a relationship, whatever, where things feel like chaos. And then like, you make the decision. And even though you make a decision and you're like, dang, I'm kind of sad about this, or I don't know what's next, it feels uncertain. But even in that uncertainty, there's some peace. Clear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can relate to that feeling. Yeah. Wow. I'm glad you said that. Yeah, it's like calmness after a storm, or the calm before the storm. But it's the calmness that even through the chaos, you feel the calm.
Yeah. Like, even though this is hard, it still feels I still feel good. Even though this is making me feel sad, I feel sad, but I also feel at peace.
Yeah.
I feel,
because both things can be true.
Yeah. I feel stressed. I feel worried about what's next. But yeah, I still have this like calmness over me.
And like willingness to keep going forward.
Yeah.
That's big.
And I think it really comes back to like honoring yourself and like.
And your authenticity. Follow your heart. What's that song? Listen to your heart.
I thought you were going to say, just give me the light.
Not Sean Paul.
Girl.
I'm dead. But yeah, I think that these questions are so interesting because they make you like there's no right answer, right?
Right, yeah.
And these are the conversations that I like to have because I love your perspective is your reality. I love to hear other people's perspective so that I can just open my mind. It makes me go through rabbit holes and like question everything. But like, if we're not questioning anything, what are we doing? Yeah. Right? Like, I'm not a sheep. Yeah. I don't think I'm a sheep.
And ultimately, at the end of the day, when we're, asking each other's opinions or this or like hearing about other people's perspective, it's not necessarily for you to always agree with somebody or like take on what they're saying, but it helps make things clear for you. Like you can kind of like take a little bit and then be like, okay, and how can does this sit with me? Does it not?
Does it not? Right. And at the same time, not judging, right? Like I don't think that I judge people's opinion or perspectives or whatever. I just like to hear. Like it's not my business, but I want to know, right? And it's for the comfort of my own self.
Yeah. Well, I think especially in like topics like this, questions like this, it helps you grow and like have a better understanding of your meaning of life and your meaning of like, what are we doing here? What is
why?
This for?
Your why. Yeah.
I enjoyed
this conversation.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
Fam. You see, now you know. Yes. Now you know what's their names.
Oh, Shits and Gigs.
Shits and Gigs. They're controversial right now.
Yeah.
So whatever. But fam. If you have any life's big questions or if you have
below. Let us know. What do you think? How do you know when you are being your most authentic self? How do you know when you
are following your intuition?
Gut, your intuition, yeah.
And what is your perspective on our perspective?
Start a conversation.
Let's talk. Let's chit chat. Let's yap and stuff. Is that what they say now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just yapping.
I love it.
Yap, yap, yap. Anyways, guys, follow, subscribe to Little Wine Podcast on YouTube, Instagram. TikTok, Instagram.
Yes.
Thank you.
See you next Tuesday.
Yes. Cheers.
I'm saying that with my chest now.
Oh, say it.